What's up, guys? I'm back with another video, and we are officially underway in the regular season of the NBA. 3 games in for some teams, two games in for other teams, but we are officially underway. And in today's video, I'm just going to be going over some teams that I think look really good right now, and some teams that I don't think look good or potentially are struggling right now. So let's just get started. The first team that I think looks really good right now, you probably all know this by now, but the Los Angeles Lakers, they look amazing and really unstoppable. Although they did lose their home opener to the Los Angeles Clippers, um, they since then they've looked very, very dangerous. They just came off of a blowout win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before that, they blew out Dallas. And it's just, they've got so many options to go to, man. Ball handling, big man, everything. The defense, the offense is amazing, man. They have Dennis Schroeder, who can take over the point guard role when LeBron is out. Anthony Davis and Marc Gasol are holding down that defensive end as the two anchors of that team. Even Montrezl Harrell can provide good defense at times, although he is a bit undersized. They just have so many threats all over the court. Talon Horton-Tucker has come in and proved that he's part of the rotation now. Their bench is fluid and one of the best benches in the league. They have such a deep team. Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma's been playing really well as of late. I mentioned Talon Horton-Tucker. They still have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Their team is just so deep that, no matter what you throw at them, they always have something else. They come in waves. And it's gonna be very interesting to see if there is a team that is going to be able to stop them. Right now, I would say that the Clippers have the best chance of beating them, because I feel like, and Stephen A. Smith actually mentioned this on First Take, if you catched it, but he said that, the Clippers get up for games against the Lakers, meaning that they play harder and they're kind of more energized when they play the Lakers. And I kind of agree with him. When they even last season in the playoffs, when they were playing the Denver Nuggets, at times they got a little lackadaisical. It seemed that they were losing focus and that they weren't as interested in the game as when they were playing the Lakers, because they did win the regular season series against the Lakers and always played them competitively. And I do agree with him that, there's certain matchups that some teams get up for and are more excited to go to war in, and I feel like for the Clippers, that the Lakers are one of those matchups that, they just prefer. And I feel like, every time they play the Lakers, they go out there and they have something to prove. And I can really see that being a factor in them pulling off an upset against them if they were to meet in the playoffs. But as of now, 3 games into the season, quick disclaimer, by the way, I won't overreact to anything, but I will say that the Lakers right now look great. Moving on, the Cleveland Cavaliers, actually. The Cleveland Cavaliers right now are 3-0. They just beat Joel Embiid-less Sixers. But man, I mean, going into the season, my thoughts for the Cleveland Cavaliers, first of all, they're not a team with any expectations. No one's expecting the Cleveland Cavaliers to make the play-in tournament, even make the playoffs. Really, there's no expectations for the Cavaliers other than to play hard and probably lose games and get back into the lottery and draft well. That's what we as fans expect from the Cleveland Cavaliers. But right now, I will say they look like a great team. Like not playoff upset potential type team, but just a team that could potentially get into the play-in tournament and perform well. Going into the season, my mindset on their backcourt, especially of Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, was that it's kind of unnecessary to have 2 point guards. And I thought that, over the course of the season, they would probably feature Colin Sexton to get him in position where he could play his value up, to the point where they can move him for either some, picks or an asset or a young star, maybe something like that. Because Colin Sexton, at the end of the day, is a very good basketball player. He is inefficient at times and he's not a great defender. But Colin Sexton, as of right now, 3 games into the regular season, has looked great. Like, I mean great. He is getting to his spots. He's playing very good defense. He's hustling as usual. And him and Darius Garland both are actually playing very, very well. And, he is actually playing his value up if they were to try to trade him. But at this point, with the way they're coexisting right now, those two, in Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, I don't really see a need for them to trade either one of them. And they can kind of see where this goes and experiment a little bit. They also have that veteran presence in the locker room. Kevin Love, Andre Drummond. These are guys that have been through things. They've been in the league for a long time now, and they provide that, leadership and veteran presence in the locker room that just gets the Cavs always. They're always in games. I feel like the Cavs are never, or haven't been in recent memory, a team that is always getting blown out. Even in Eastern Conference matchups, the games I watched last year of them, I didn't watch a lot of Cavs games last year, but the ones I did watch, they were very competitive and they're always fighting, and they have a lot of dogs on that team. So I'm very impressed with them thus far. I don't expect this to continue and them to be a winning team or anything like that, but I do like what I've seen from them thus far. Andre Drummond is playing very well also. He is a guy that is one of those guys that you watch him over his career, and at this point, you kind of feel like he's a specialist in the sense that Andre Drummond is a guy that, he gets rebounds. Now, that's what I think. When I think Andre Drummond, I think he's the best rebounder of the league, and he doesn't do much else anymore. But this season, as of in the 3 games in that we've seen, he has been doing other things. He's posting up, he's setting great screens, he's rolling, he's playing back to the basket. Like, Andre Drummond's doing a lot of things that we saw earlier in his career. And, for him, I think I'm just very happy to see that for him, because his value was slowly decreasing to the point where, we were unsure if he would even stay in Cleveland. And he could have turned into one of those guys like Greg Monroe, where he's always on the move. And he's always going to be a guy that can help teams because of his, interior presence and his rebounding. But it's good to see him actually playing very good basketball with the Cavs right now. The next team that I wanted to talk about, and the last team that I'll talk about that has been really good so far, is the Sacramento Kings. Now, they have a record of 2-1. They beat the Denver Nuggets in their first game. They beat the Phoenix Suns, and they played them again the next day, actually, and lost to them by 16. But the Sacramento Kings just look fun. And if you guys remember, 2 years ago, actually, they were one of those teams that didn't have a lot of nationally televised games. But if you have NBA League Pass and you were able to watch them, they were very, very fun to watch, man. They've got a lot of guys that are high energy, fast. They play very fast. They get down the court fast. And, they got hoopers on that team. Marvin Bagley's looked good so far. Unable to see him last year, obviously, because of some injuries. But this year, he's playing alongside De'Aaron Fox. He's playing alongside Buddy Hield, and he looks really good. I think he wanted to play the center spot, if I'm not mistaken, but he is playing the power forward position right now. And he looks pretty good right now. He looks very good. De'Aaron Fox also looks great. Buddy Hield is shooting that ball, man. He is just shooting. The one thing that I would like to say about the Sacramento Kings that I haven't liked so far is that when De'Aaron Fox goes out of the game and is put on the bench, which happened to them in their last game against the Phoenix Suns, he was in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls. They put him back in, and he picked up another one in 2 seconds. And so he had to sit out, and during that time, they put Corey Joseph in, who, in my opinion, is a good point guard. He's a game floor general, and he knows, how to control the game, but he did not look good when they put him in. They were just rushing shots, shooting things like 5 seconds into the shot clock, and then fouling on the other end, and they got out of the game very quickly. And the Suns went on like a 21-5 run. And, I think they're going to miss Bogdan Bogdanovic, who is a guy that you can just give the ball to, and he can get a shot from, anywhere in the half court. And they don't really have a guy like that anymore. De'Aaron Fox is not a great shooter, so he's not really like that. Buddy Hield is not like that. And so they are going to miss Bogdan Bogdanovic, but Harrison Barnes is another guy that, you could do that to a certain extent. You can give him the ball, and he'll drive and kick it, or he'll drive and score himself. But overall, they've looked pretty good so far, and I'm excited to watch them over the course of the season. Now I'm going to get into 2 teams that I feel look very bad, and the first one, you probably guessed it, is the Golden State Warriors. Now, I did make a video on them. I did say that I expected them, or I said that they had the potential to make the 4 seed in the playoffs, or be the 4 seed in the Western Conference. And right now, that prediction is not looking very good. But I will say we haven't seen Draymond Green yet. And, when Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre look as bad as they do right now, both of them look terrible, not hitting shots. And Stephen Curry said this in an interview. He said that the team's IQ has to improve when they're not making shots, because when they're not hitting shots, they're forcing things, right? They're just getting into the paint in triple coverage and just throwing the ball up at the hoop. That's not how you have to play when you're not hitting shots. When you're not hitting shots, do other things, right? Facilitate, play hard defense. That's what they got to do. Andrew Wiggins looked so bad in those first two games. Kelly Oubre hasn't looked good at all. They just won by 1 point against the Chicago Bulls, who perhaps are the worst team in the league. And it's just like all the attention is on Stephen Curry, and I know his shooting percentage right now is terrible. He's not shooting the ball well, but when all the attention is on him, it's hard for him to get good looks and, really maintain some, comfortable feeling in that offense. And I really think that Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, they have to find a way to make those guys feel comfortable and know their roles in that offense, because right now they look terrible. James Wiseman has been impressive, though. He's been the one bright spot so far. He had a few good games actually against the Nets and the Bucks to open the season. Rebounding the ball very well, shooting the ball very well actually, and he's gonna help them a lot when Draymond Green comes back. I think he's gonna benefit from Draymond Green's return, and I don't expect this to continue. I think at some point they will find their groove and be competitive at least. But I don't know. I'm not gonna change my prediction on them, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. We'll see how it goes. And then the last team I wanted to talk about, and another team that I'm not very impressed with, is the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, my main concern with them is kind of on the defensive end, to be honest. In their first game against the Utah Jazz, they got blown out. They were down by 30 most of the game, and then they ended up losing by 20. But they just, it's like they have so many guys on that team that are great defenders. Robert Covington, Rodney Hood, Gary Trent. These are guys that are great defenders, but in that offense where the Jazz were running a lot of pick and rolls, and they were dropping the big men. Yusuf Nurkic and Enes Kanter were dropping, and then that left like Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell wide open for threes. And I don't know if that was Terry Stotts' plan or something that they were just doing, but it was bad. And then they just beat the Houston Rockets by 2 points in the game where they let James Harden and Christian Wood go off. CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard are always going to be guys that can just get you a bucket. But overall, they just do not look good. And they should have, the Rockets actually only had like 9 active players in that game because a lot of them were out because of contact tracing due to COVID-19, or they tested positive. But the Blazers should not have been in a situation where they could have lost that game, and their defense is not good. And, Yusuf Nurkic and Enes Kanter are not good defensive big men, and I think it would have helped them to go out and get somebody that could help them on that end. Hassan Whiteside was a guy that actually helped them a lot on the defensive end last year, and losing him may hurt them. But, overall, I don't expect this to continue, much like I don't expect the Warriors season to continue the way it is. But they just need to tighten up the defensive end, because offensively, the Portland Trail Blazers are as talented as it gets. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, those guys are hoopers. Robert Covington's a great 3-and-D guy. Rodney Hood, same thing. Gary Trent, same thing. And Yusuf Nurkic and Enes Kanter are two of the most talented guys at the big man position offensively, right? Defensively, they struggle, but offensively, they are great. And so, I just want them to tighten up the defense right now, because it doesn't look good. But like I said, they've got pieces that can defend. So that's all I got to say for right now. That's my week in review, if you will, of the NBA season, week 1. I'll be back next week to review, but until then, peace, guys.